It's 7:18. I'd like to call the January 12th, 2022 meeting to order. My name is Ed Stevens, the chairman. By phone is Floyd Kravitz, vice chairman. Tom Manning just arrived as secretary.
How do you get it on?
And Scott Rosado was absent. Jeff Fitzgerald was absent. I'd like to have Mr. Benzer, Bill Benzer sit for Mr. Fitzgerald, and Mr. Smith sit for Scott. Also present is Thomas Henry, planner and code enforcement officer for the town. And do I take it Debbie's there also? Thomas Henry?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand you.
Okay, is Debbie there also?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay, Debbie's here as the recording secretary. All right, let me go down the procedures. The secretary will check the mailings to make sure that they're in order. Once he has determined that, we're set to proceed. Anybody that speaks the first time, please name and address. If you speak subsequently, just identify yourself by name. Applicant will be given ample opportunity to present their case as to why they want the variance and what are the reasons. At the end of the applicant's presentation, board members will probably ask questions. At that point, we'll also determine if there's any correspondence from any of the town agency or from the public. Applicant will get an opportunity to rebut any negative comments if there are any. At the end of the public hearing, we will go into a special session, at which time we'll discuss, deliberate, and usually decide our actions. At that time, you cannot accept any additional comments. So the public hearing portion is the time for any comments. And with that, I think we're set to go. We have a full quorum. Mr. Manning.
Okay, let me read the call of the meeting first. ZBA 21-09, 99 Warren Avenue, Dava Home Solutions LLC. Applicant Claire Vidier, owner, variances of section 4.2-2.A to convert a detached accessory building, parentheses garage, in the front yard to a human habitation use. PIN number 260816945786 RS12 zoning district. And for the record, I've reviewed the mailings. They are in compliance with the regulations and we're set to proceed.
Okay, is the applicant here?
Yes,
Okay, and you are?
my name is Dava and I was hired by Claire to renovate her garage. She would like to use it as a workspace.
Okay, if you give the full name and address, please.
My apologies. My full name is Dava Seidman. My address is 25 Cedar Swamp Road in Hampton, Connecticut.
Thank you. You have the floor.
So Claire hired Dava Home Solutions to make renovations to a garage so that she would be able to not have to renovate her actual house, swaying a bit of the cost. What we would like to do is update what is already in existence. It currently has a half bath, an antiquated heating system, insulation, sheetrock, an attic space. What she would like is to be able to use it as an overflow, as she has a tiny house. And we explored the options of going up a level so she could increase her square footage. The cost of upgrading her garage is greatly less and more easily attainable for her. We would like, instead of her having to use a little hatchway to get up into the attic, to create a full staircase so that she can walk up and use it for storage. she would like to have a proper half bath with a shower. So that would be a 3/4 bath. She would like a work sink so that she does a lot of different crafting projects, and overall like an extension for her living room is what she would like to do.
Okay, questions? Board?
I don't have any questions outside. They're not going to use this for a house to live permanently in, or it's just a workspace.
Correct, sir. Yes, she does not want living space so that she could rent it or, have an apartment made. She doesn't even want a kitchen, anything remotely like that. She just wants to improve on what's already there.
Okay, that's all I got.
Doug Smith?
Couple of questions. What's the height of the garage now?
I have to be honest with you, I don't know that answer offhand. But we are not increasing the height.
Okay. So the only addition you are putting on essentially is squaring off the corners around the garage entrance there, so you gain a little more space that way. Is that correct?
That is correct. It is interesting the way they did the bump ins. We would like to square it in one of the square areas is where we would like to set the single stand-up shower. And in the other area, we'd like to utilize that space to take advantage for the staircase.
Okay.
Bill Answer?
Well, I got one.
Oh.
So it will no longer have a use as a garage. Is that correct?
Correct. We are going to weather it in. So we are going to request to close the garage door, frame it in, and replace with 2 windows.
Okay, and from the plans, is there a garage attached to the house that you access from Warren Avenue?
There is not. She does have 2 driveways, one from Warren and one from Clark.
Okay, all right. That wasn't clear from the drawing. I couldn't tell. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Bill Answer? Bill, you need to unmute.
Thank you. I don't have any questions at this time. It's pretty straightforward. Thank you.
Tom Manning?
Yes, I have some questions. There's a history with this garage that was built. We should go back as the board. I'm looking at the record of decision that, and I happen to be on, believe it or not, and I think you were, Ed, and I'm not sure who else, maybe Bill Menser was on it. But some of us were on and voted on the public hearing to grant the variance as requested. I've got it in front of me here. And the variance was, as I'm going to read this ZBA 00-2799 Warren Avenue. Richard Wilcox, owner applicant, for a variance to section 5.2 to allow a garage 7 feet from the property line in lieu of 30 feet. PIN number such and such, RS12 zone. So at that time, we, the board, voted to grant the variance because the hardship was shown that the lot fronts on 2 streets, meets the intent of section 85-8B of the zoning regulations. So clearly because the Clark Lane or Clark Street or whatever it is that runs down beside the current garage, clearly it fronted on 2 streets, even though that was like a dirt road. Now, all of a sudden, we're going to redoing or not allowing the garage to continue, but we're clearly changing the use. I'd like the town to the Mr. To talk about what they see as allowing a garage to have to be habitable. My thinking is, and this is just off the top of my head, that many times garages don't always house cars. They morph to like a workshop or something. And I'd like the town to tell me, is that something that does not meet the requirements and would result in a zoning violation?
No,
Tom,
it's only
could-
required that a single-family residence have 2 off-street parking spaces. They do not have to be contained in a garage, so this lot satisfies that requirement.
Okay, but now this garage was built because of this variance request back in 2001, correct?
Correct.
And I've been down by it. It looks like, even though there's a garage door on it, it looks like it has been used for other things. Is that correct? Maybe the applicant could,
Are you asking me, sir?
yeah, I guess the applicant or
So
the owner.
when Claire purchased the home, the current homeowner who sold it to her was already using the garage as a woodworking workshop. So I believe it was he that put in the heating system, the toilet and sink, and all of those pieces. It has a front and back door already, which I'm sure you saw. So yes, it was already being used as a workshop when Claire purchased the home.
And this is a question to Tom Zanarini. Is this permitted?
Yeah, there's no problem with it.
So why do we need a variance then to do what has already been done there?
Well, it kind of solidifies it where it was granted a variance as a specific use. So because of that, it needs a variance to be granted as another specific use. And a change in use for this particular structure, even though it's acceptable, is a
Well-
requirement. This garage we're just a normal garage that met all setbacks and whatnot. This wouldn't be required.
Well, the problem is section 4.2-2A, that's the definition of an accessory building.
Mhm.
And it says you can have a 14-foot height max, not used for human habitation or housing of animals. Doesn't say anything about not allowing for woodworking shop. Just says
Well,
you
that would be
can't
human
live there,
That would be human habitation. I mean, that's what it means.
not used for human, well, okay, yeah. Building is not located less than 40 feet from the street line, 6 feet side. What prompted this, it sounds like, wasn't the site did initially talk to 100-foot frontage, and it's
Yeah,
actually,
if you
can
would
we
take the
talk
memo,
about that?
if you take the memo that was written to the Planning and Zoning Commission that I wrote, you'll see the explanation for that. It was, the yard setback on Warren was or the frontage was incorrectly identified, but it's been quite some time since the approval, and based on Connecticut state statutes, once a accessory structure has been built for 3 years or more and no action has been taken, then it is allowed to be permitted to continue. So we can't take any action on that.
So what that has been done, the use of a workshop and whatever else is in there, no use can be taken because it's been done longer than 3 years, correct?
Well, that's for the setbacks and the location of it.
I guess I'm coming back to why we need to make the change. If they had a workshop in there and we didn't raise an issue, no issue was raised, why can't they just continue to use it without a variance?
Well, this is
Why do-
going just beyond the workshop, and they just want to have it be, it's the language that says for human habitation, and they want to use it specifically for that. So I think it would behoove them, and it would be good to have that solidified and documented that it's permitted, because the original variance said it was just for a garage, and they're now going to change the use based on a variance approval. So it has to go through the motions, even though it seems kind of
One of the,
pedantic.
go ahead.
No, I'm done.
One of the things that if you read, let's see if I can find it here. The powers of our board and the new regulations, it's pretty much the same. We have to, before granting variance on the basis of exceptional difficulty or unusual hardship, there must be a finding by the board that all of the following conditions exist. That the difficulties or hardship are peculiar to the property in question, in contrast to those of other properties in the same district. That the hardship was not the result of the applicant's own action, and that the hardship is not merely financial or pecuniary. The concurring vote of 4 members shall be necessary for the application to pass. And when I read the paperwork that was submitted, everything seems to be talking about the cost. And I'm hard pressed to divorce that from these requirements. I mean, if we were just to let what has been done there continue with, no human habitation, I think the thing that I think that has raised its issues since the time that this board voted back 21 years ago is Airbnbs. I'll be blunt about it. That's the elephant in the room.
Well, that's no problem. You can condition the property to not be used that way, and I think the applicant should speak more on why the addition couldn't be attached to the house, if that's what you're.
I
Right.
have a real problem. I want to hear that talked to, because I have a real problem, because everything I read was that the cost of doing over the main house was so expensive that she wanted to do this. And I can understand where they're coming from, but I just have a hard time. That's a financial and pecuniary to this property. And I'm hard pressed to say, geez, I'm sympathetic, but if we just granted it for a workshop or something, or I'd like to hear other people talk about this, because I'm kind of not sure.
I have a question of Thomas Henry. Tom, if the board were to grant this, you made in your notation to the board that it not be used for permanent habitation. If I misread the summer Confederation of Planning and Zoning, it indicates that by January of 2023, that accessory dwelling units have to be in every residential zone by right. Well, currently they're in there, but they're with a official permit, but I forgot about the term most of us use. Is there anything to prevent this being used as an ADU?
Yeah, by right means they still have to meet requirements for size and setback and whatnot. They just don't need a special permit. This wouldn't meet that because it doesn't meet the requirements because it is in
Okay.
the setback property line. So that's why it requires a special approval by the ZBA.
Okay, so you're saying as this building now sits, it could not be used for an ADU?
It would require a variance.
That begs the question then, if the applicant had family down every weekend for the entire year and they use this, what's the difference?
Monetary, not collecting money. It's a garage, as any garage could be used. If people finish a garage in their house and family members or whatever sleep over, that's part of the normal use of a single family house.
Okay,
They're not
so,
getting, they're monetizing it.
so like converting a garage to a family room.
Correct.
Okay. I guess what's a little odd is that this is detached rather than attached. Okay,
Right.
all right, yeah, okay.
Ed,
All right.
Ed, I have a
Doug,
question. Yeah,
go ahead.
and this is for Tom again. If the applicant didn't want to square off those corners, in other words, just wanted to remodel inside, would they require a variance to do that?
Yes, I believe so, because it's the change of use from non-human habitation to human habitation.
Okay, but so even if they got a building permit, they still would need the variance,
Correct.
unless they didn't tell you they were going to use it for human habitation.
I think the building permit would kind of call that out. I mean, and if not, I think they would be in violation. So being here, they're being, above board.
No, I understand that. I'm just trying to see how it all meshes, the same as
Okay.
Tom and Ed are here, so.
Sure. Yeah.
And one other question I have then, Tom, is, is under what authority can we impose conditions on the approval?
Oh, you have authority as the board. You can, it's written into your authority in the state statute that you can impose conditions on a variance approval.
As long as they're reasonable, I guess, right?
Right.
Okay, that's all I have, Ed, thanks.
Okay, you're welcome. Tom, is that really, okay, if the board were to grant this and the current owner 6-7 years from now decides she wants to sell, wants to move, what are the checks and balances that somebody does not use this for all you do is put a microwave and a little refrigerator and living quarters?
Well, just like any variance, it's placed on the land records and it runs in perpetuity with the property.
Right, but if the board were to say that this should not be used as a permanent apartment or whatever language, what's the checks and balances? Only if the neighbor reports it?
Like any violation, it has to be known and reported. But yeah, it would be because it's on the land records. It would be up to the owner to know everything about a property that they're purchasing.
Okay. So then a way it could be enforced would be like a reactive situation.
All enforcement is reactive.
That's true. Okay, that's all I have. Tom Manning, you want to add anything else?
I guess the only thing that I take away from looking at this is that I'd like somebody to talk to what was physically in the building prior to this request to come up. What was the extent of how the garage Was it not used as a garage, or was it used as a garage plus? I have no clue as to, I've been down there a couple of times trying to puzzle my way into how this garage and we all, the reality of life is we all take different pieces, garages, work areas, and make them into maybe what may not be legal, but
Mhm.
that's just a fact of life. And I'm just hard pressed that that garage got built because we specifically 20 some odd years ago felt there was a hardship. If somebody was coming today and wanted to put this building and make it into a habitable residence for out of town visitors, family, we probably might not have found there was a hardship because of the two front streets, essentially. I'll listen to the rest of the board. I'm still not sure about this. I guess I'm not sure because I don't have a warm fuzzy that what was done there is fine. And I don't have a real problem with it being, having a small bathroom and a workshop. But I'm just a little reticent to all of a sudden validate that what we did to, 20 some odd years ago, we probably, if we had known then what we know now, we probably might not have voted that there was a
Well,
legit.
just as you stated earlier, what was done in the garage was not because of this owner, it was the previous owner.
Yes.
So
That's
this
fine.
owner shouldn't be held to be responsible for what was done by somebody else. That's one of the conditions.
Yeah, but she bought the house and the garage, knowing fully what they were, a house and a garage.
Right, and that's why she's here for a variance.
Because she wants to, because of the cost of modifying her house is much more expensive than modifying the garage to allow for, say,
Well, I think
family to come visit.
it's a lot of location issues as well.
Well, I'm not sure about that. Okay.
Okay, do we have any comments from any of the town agency? Tom Henry,
I'm sorry, I didn't understand you.
comments from the public or any other town agency?
We have no comments from the public, and the Planning and Zoning Commission reviewed it last night, and they have no comment.
Okay, do we have any of the public online?
No, there is no public.
Okay, I'll ask the applicant to me to address Mr. Manning's concerns.
Mr. Chairman, could I add also, could the applicant also address the need for squaring off that corner? I'm interested in her speaking about the hardship of modifying a non-conforming building. I mean, I see it as non-conforming, but she
Sure.
might, is there another option rather than expanding the building?
I'd be happy to address that. There's specifically where the half bath is, it's already kind of scrunched up together. The toilet and the sink, the clearance is real small. And where the building bumps in, if we were to frame it out and place proper concrete depth, it would be the perfect size for a shower stall and also bring the current half bath to code as far as spacing from the toilet to the sink. We can't go more within the building because there's a beautiful window casing that we really don't, it takes up a big portion of that wall. It faces her home. It wouldn't be beneficial to move. And then on the other side is the rear door. So it just logically makes the most sense to frame out that corner to utilize that space.
So for the record, we can also, I'm stating the obvious, that was that bathroom was installed with no regard to building code. It was just stuck in
Correct.
there by the previous owner.
Correct.
Thank you.
The other corner, Mr. Mentor, we could get away with not squaring, but it would be a better staircase with proper treads if we could square it, so we can have a certain amount of steps one direction and then hook around the corner and go up so that the opening is in the highest point of the roof peak. Otherwise, it would be more of a spiral type stair.
Tom,
I have
Manning?
another question, Ed. For Dava there,
Yes.
something in your application talks about a drainage pipe
Yes.
in the driveway, I guess. So presumably that's the drainage from the non-code compliant bathroom that was put in there?
And actually, it's not. The drainage I'm talking about is along Clark. And what is currently there is a solid structure pipe. And the runoff from Clark literally goes directly over the top of this pipe, and it slams into her garage. So there's mold along that wall. What I'd like to do is not recreate the wheel there and dig and excavate all this craziness. We just want to replace that pipe with a perforated pipe so that liquid coming off of Clark can go into the drainage that is already in existence and out where it's supposed to go, instead of into her garage.
So is that located on the southwest corner of the garage, the pipe?
It runs from her shed to the front of the garage where the garage door is.
I don't know where the shed is.
So there's a shed to the rear of the garage, and there's gutters on both the shed and the garage, and the pipe collects both the runoff from the gutter, but it does not catch anything coming off of Clark. I'd like to, if we're going to do this work and make it beautiful, we'd really like to avoid moisture going inside the garage. And I don't plan to excavate the entire drainage system. I just want to be able to allow runoff from Clark to get into the pipe.
Okay. Yeah, that, I'm not worried about that. I'm more concerned, I guess, with if the bathroom was installed probably without a permit, where the wastewater for that goes.
It's a good question. I haven't investigated, but when I bring the plumber to look at how to work with this shower, I'm going to investigate where that goes as well.
Is it-
So you're
And you don't
saying
know if
that,
it's on a sewer or not then, right?
right, my question.
I do not know where that piping goes. I have not run a camera through it yet.
Okay, I mean, the sewer runs along 215, I know, so I'm sure, I'm thinking that neighborhood is probably sewered, but
It is.
if this was put in without a permit, you never know what's going on there.
Well, it's definitely not coming up in her yard.
Yeah,
But we don't know that it was done illegally. Public Works should have a record. If they each had into the sewer or into the sewage line going from the house to the sewer, there has to be a permit for that on record.
Tom Rosannarini, are you aware of any permits were taken out to modify the garage?
Permits were granted to create the garage were final. Public Works has reviewed this application and they have no comment on it.
No, I mean, when it was retrofitted to have a bathroom. Or do you know if that was part of the garage to begin with?
I don't have that information handy, no.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else have any questions, comments? Hearing none, then I guess we're set to close the public hearing at 7:54. And we'll go into discussion. Bill Munster?
Well, I start my thought process with, we're dealing with a non-conforming building and we want to expand its footprint. I've got a problem with that. I question how that bathroom got in there. And if it was not permitted, that's interesting that the buyer's realtor didn't pick up on that. And now we want to change the use of the building from what it was originally. And a change of use is sort of a something we want to consider very carefully before we go forward. On the other hand, we may have a homeowner here who's trying to make the best of some mistakes that have gone on in the past. So I'm on the fence on this. I could see both sides of the argument, both deny or to accept it. Let's hear from some other board members.
Lloyd Travis?
You know, excuse me, as I look at this thing here, I think we ought to get some information from the town hall to see if we have permits for this stuff before we say, go ahead and do it. You know, because I wouldn't vote for it tonight. That's all I got to say.
All right, Doug Smith?
Couple of things. First of all, to Tom Manning, when the stuff you brought up earlier, it seems to me the variance that you granted back in 2001 was to be closer than 10 feet to the side, or however you want to look at the side border or a frontage border, if you thought Clark Lane was a frontage street. So they built thinking they were within the 10-foot setback. They were allowed to go to within 7. And then it turns out that the right of way for the road was 20 feet wider in that area, so that essentially the whole garage is on the right of way right now, it seems to me. And it's grandfathered in that position. So I don't see what that playing into our decision tonight so much. I mean, that's the status quo right now, and then we should take it from there and go further as to whether or not we want to allow a change of use under the zoning reg there. And again, like people have been saying, essentially, it's there's pros and cons both ways on this situation here. If I had heard that there was a plan to put in a kitchen in there, then I would probably be a no vote. I have concerns about Airbnb and that kind of thing, and I don't think it would be appropriate for this building to evolve into an accessory dwelling unit either. So if we can put a condition on it that locks down the use as strictly a workshop, which conforms to the definition of the 4.2, let's see, point. I'm looking it up here, hold on.
Hey, while you're looking it up, I want to say one thing. On the old, I have a plan of the old garage here. There was no shed on the side there. And on the new plan, there's a shed on the side of it. I don't know if anybody noticed that or not. Two plans here. One was a new one and one's an old one. It shows an existing window there, but there's no shed there. That was the old plan. It's September 24th, 2021.
I don't even have that one, so,
Well, I got it.
okay.
And it has 3 windows it shows in it. And it shows the existing garage door, but it shows where the plan was going to be changed.
Right.
Okay,
Hey, Ed, this is
Yep.
Tom Manning. Can you hear me?
Yes, I am.
I'd like to ask the question, what is the current square footage of the first floor? And what is the proposed square footage of the loft area that we're talking, what's planned?
Well, that building is 24 by 18, which is 432 square feet. So without raising the roof, you're going to do half that on the second floor.
432 square feet.
Now, the definition of an accessory building is 14 foot in height max.
You have that read. I don't have it in front of me.
I think it was in section 4.2-2A.
Right. Right.
An accessory building is 14 feet max height. Not used
Okay.
for human habitation, so right away, it says actually not used for human habitation or housing of animals. Building located not less than 40 feet from the street line and 6 feet side or back line. I mean, that road is just, I actually parked down on Warren Avenue, but I drove up that Clark Street or lane or whatever, and it dead ends. So there's no, whether that street line moved one side or the other, it's not going to have an impact on people other than maybe the 2 houses that are up and back. But I'm more concerned of how much square footage are we putting into this? And once we, buy into allowing for a workshop and then a larger bathroom, the reality is that's going to be a area for family or friends or whatever to spend time in. Eventually, I mean, this is, you got to look to the future, and we didn't at the time look that we were granting a garage, and we didn't expect that it was going to take on a different personality, so to speak. Okay, I've said enough.
Well, you made a statement, I think, Tom, that the garage is bigger than 14 feet high. How did you determine that?
Oh, I don't know. I'm just asking that question.
I also drove by it a couple of times, and I mean, 1-car garage, I can't imagine it being 14 feet high. It didn't look like that to me. I mean, that's almost like a 2-story house.
But is the intent to put a stairway up and to raise the roof or to change things? I guess maybe the applicant should talk to that.
That's,
I can talk to that if you
No,
would
we're-
like.
We've closed the hearing now.
no, we can't, right? The application given to us indicates that the second floor will be finished, sheetrock, insulated, power outlets. So it'll be able to be used for something.
Sure.
So, as far as the height goes, I don't think that garage is more than 14 feet or is even 14 feet. So what should be,
Whatever it is, though, it's grandfathered in as long as they're not gonna raise.
Yes.
okay,
So if we were cleaning up a variance, then that would be one of the other things that we could clear up as well in granting a variance, that whatever the height is allowed, you know?
Tom Manning?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
I've probably, I should have asked that question sooner. What was the square footage intent? But the meeting is closed, so it's to our imagination, I guess.
No, I gave you the square footage.
432
No, I know
square
you
feet.
did, but I thought that the roof line, when I looked at it, it looked like the roof line probably didn't go beyond 14 feet. But if you're gonna put a staircase in, and I don't know, that to me tells you you're gonna be putting other rooms in. That's what I would imagine is the intent is. Otherwise, you just leave the pull down staircase as it is. So anyway,
All right. Any other comments?
I've got a, I'm hung up on the change of use. To Tom's point, we're putting a staircase in. Well, then that becomes a room as opposed to a pull down. Am I the only one that's concerned with the change of use to habitation? I think that's that's quite a step here from, as Floyd pointed out, a garage that we approved 20 years ago. I just don't know if I'm beating a dead horse, or some members had some other comments concerning that.
If I can chime in, it seems like the use has changed already, though, sometime before this owner took occupancy. And whatever this owner's been using it for, it sounds like a workshop of some sort. De facto, they've been using it as, let's see, what's the term? For human habitation, as Tom Zanarini defined that for us. So I don't know if that's such a major issue.
Well, yeah, as we saw, it was obviously not designed for habitation. It was a workshop with a non-permitted bathroom. And okay, thanks for your comments, Doug.
Yeah, this is a tough one. You could renovate the entire bottom floor and use it as a workshop. I'm not sure that you have to use the second level, which is being proposed here. I mean, a workshop to me is not a living space. It's usually something you have down in your basement. It's a mess. I don't care whether you're doing woodworking or you're doing crafts or pottery or whatever, art studio. I just think it's kind of pushing the envelope. Renovate the downstairs. I don't have a problem with putting in a shower still. It's going to be heated. So if somebody wants to spend the weekend, family or something, put a couple of cots out there. It's a workshop. So I don't think it has to go up through a second level all finished off. That isn't a workshop, that's living space. Which has been acknowledged that the applicant has visitors, and she's got to put them somewhere. But if the downstairs is all finished up, sheetrock, even I could go along with putting the shower stall in.
Hey, Ed, I got a question.
Yep.
Tom Manning.
Yep.
Is essentially what's there now, could we agree, or maybe we can't agree, that that has been grandfathered over 20 years?
The building, yes.
The building, and maybe if they
Well-
had workshop and did, and just didn't maybe have anybody living there, but maybe, as a workshop, I mean, why, if that's been grandfathered and documented, why do we need to vote on this?
Well, because they want to expand it out, they want to square off a corner
I
of the garage.
understand, yeah, I understand
okay.
that, but I'm just saying, if some of us agree that, yes, 20 years ago, we said it was the hardship for the garage, and they morphed it to a workshop and whatever else is in there now. I mean, essentially, I would think that that's probably been grandfathered just based on the time that has elapsed. If that's the case, do we really need to, and I'll just play the devil's advocate, do we really need to vote on this? Now, maybe Tom feels that he needs something, but
I think we should vote on something.
okay.
Ed and
So-
Tom, if I could jump in just a second.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think it's, and this is to your question right there specifically. It seems like the owner wants to get right with the town, and the best way to get right with the town as to what exists now would be to get a variance that allows for using this building for what Tom Zandarini calls human habitation, which would be a workshop, possibly a sleeping area upstairs on weekends and stuff for family and that kind of thing. That would be human habitation. So in order to get right with the town, she needs a variance that says this structure can be used for human habitation with the condition that it can never be converted to be an accessory dwelling unit as defined in the regs. And given within those parameters, I would vote for the variance.
I wouldn't disagree with that.
I would go in that direction. I would support that.
I'm on the fence.
What I want to know is who's going to go down there and check that all the time? Once it's done.
That's Tom
Wow.
Zandarini's daily work.
Well, I think if something else other than occasional weekend guests were using that place as VRBO or Airbnb or whatever, I think that neighbors would be on board on this. A small tight neighborhood, it's a dead end. And I think that this is checks and balance there. So we're back to the motion, which is to, I can't find it. Tom, what is the actual call say, Tom Manning?
Yeah, hold on, let me find it here.
I
Put
have
my
it, but
glasses on. Okay, the call of the meeting is, let's see, variances of section 4.2-2A to convert a detached accessory building garage in the front yard to human habitation use. Now, that's all that's there. And then
Okay.
Tom had some verbiage to add. I don't know if that would work, but anyway. Tom, do you have that paragraph?
I have what he has in here.
Okay,
It's to place a condition of approval prohibiting converting this to an independent living unit or an ADU. That's what Tom Sanmarie is proposing.
yeah. Is that enforceable?
Could be.
Is
Yes, it,
the speed limit on 995 is 65? Is that enforceable? Yeah, it's enforceable if they want to enforce it. But I think, again, I think the checks and balances here is that if this were converted into an individual living unit, apartment rented out, or Airbnb, constant flow living, the neighbors would take note and they file a complaint. Like, I'm surprised that no neighbors have come out this evening. So, Doug, you seem to be the one that's came up with the idea. So really what you're doing is making a motion to grant the variance as requested with the proviso that it would be prohibited from being converted to an independent living unit.
Right, or I would, and I would put a slash after that, and also call it an accessory dwelling unit as it's defined in the zoning regs. And I would put a further condition that it could not be used in any way as for an Airbnb purpose or commercial. You know,
Well,
just to cover all the bases.
I think that's
if-
covered by Tom Sanmarine's suggestion, prohibiting the conversion to an independent living unit. Whether it's an apartment, an ADU, or if that prohibition is in there. Tom, do you think it has to go beyond that?
no,
Tom
that should do
Sanmary?
it.
You think that will cover it?
Yeah.
We could make it too long and confuses the hell out of everybody.
Right, but I'm concerned that there's no definition of an independent living unit in the zoning regs definitions. But there is a definition of an accessory dwelling unit in section 2.1, which would be readily enforceable by the zoning official.
I think we're getting into semantics, independent living unit, ADU. Tom Zanardi, what's your thought?
Yeah, an accessory dwelling unit would require, right now, a permit to do it. So, I mean, there's, just like any other approval you do, it's up to the owner to comply with the current regulations.
Okay. All right. So the motion would be as requested with the proviso that an ADU is prohibited, cannot be converted to an ADU.
Correct.
Okay. All right. So you made that motion, Doug?
I will make that motion. You want me to restate it, or does everybody understand it?
Is there any?
I think we all we understand it.
And
Okay, then-
Tom,
Could you restate it for the record, because this is being recorded?
Sure. Okay, I move that we grant a variance to section 4.2-2A, accessory buildings, provision in the zoning regulations to allow the use of the previously granted garage for a use of human habitation, and specifically that this building may not be used in any way, cannot be converted to an independent living unit / accessory dwelling unit.
I'll second that. Any further discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
I can't see Tom Manning.
I'm
Against.
against.
Okay.
you- I'm
Lloyd
against.
Kravitz, you're
You can't
against?
see me either. I'm against.
Okay, so there's 3 in favor and 2 opposed. And since the variance requires 4 affirmative votes, the variance is denied. Okay, I guess we should move right along. So you have the comment on that, Tom Zannerini, Bill Menzer, myself, and Doug Smith, the pro, and Tom Manning and Lloyd Kravitz are against.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. All right, let's just move along then. Correspondence?
None.
No, okay, good. Minutes are in a package. Anybody care to make a motion on those?
I move that we approve the minutes of the meeting of September 22nd, 2021 as presented in draft form.
There's a
I'll
second?
second that.
Thank you, Bill. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay,
Aye.
opposed?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Old business.
There's none.
Okay, how about new?
We have one in the making, and it's the carports that were behind chapter 1. It's not complete yet, and they haven't paid, but it will be appending shortly.
Okay,
This is the carports that were down behind
Yeah, Harper
access
Hound.
by Pearl Street.
Yes, exactly.
those are denied, correct?
There's I don't think we finished it, but they're applying for another application, so I think they withdrew it, if I recall correctly.
Okay, all right, that's it. Officer,
I have one other thing I'd like to ask, Ed. Dick
Yes.
Fitzgerald cornered me and asked me when, and I'll put Tom on the spot, and he may not be able to answer it, but can get back to us. When will we be going to the old way of meeting? Or is that gonna ever happen?
That's a great question. This meeting was supposed to be at the most a hybrid meeting where you were going to be able to come in, and then it was going to be broadcast on Zoom, which is probably going to be the standard from now on anyway. But because of the Omicron variant and the spike in COVID cases, the town manager changed the procedure kind of right out from under us and changed all meetings to total Zooms. So we're really at a week by week stance right now. We don't know what's going to happen.
Hopefully you can pass the word back to the town manager that that some of the participants on the zoning board of appeals would like to go back as soon as possible, because you can't get the flavor of looking at drawings, or this is just very difficult.
Yeah,
And
agreed.
to Tom's, to your, you get the stuff out and everything, but this is really a stretch trying to do it with this Zooming. Anyway, I've passed the word to you guys. I'll pass the word back to Dick.
okay, do that. Offices for this year. Any motions?
I didn't hear what you said, Ed.
Election of officers.
Someone can make a motion that
Yeah.
all positions are retained.
Exactly. I'll make a motion that all positions are retained by the officers of those positions now.
I'll second that.
Okay, discussion? All in favor? Aye.
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 Okay, and you have the Federation newsletters that were in your package. And I guess that's it. Be a motion to adjourn, unless there's something else. Tom?
Nope, that's all.
Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we are adjourned at 8:25. Thank you all.
Okay,
Good
thanks a
night,
lot.
everyone. Take
Good
care.
night. Stay
Night, guys.
safe.